All right, and welcome to another episode of Hempire. I'm Pete Bahrenburg. Again, I'm here with my good friend, and by now, hopefully your friend at least, Nick DiFrancesco, CEO of PureWell. What's up, man?
What's going on, Pete? I always love your intros. I don't know what to expect with them.
Good. I'm going to keep getting you with them.
So we have a real good story today. We have somebody that is full of determination, inspiration. Just someone that I met a couple months ago at an athletics and cannabis convention.
We met.
I'm sorry that we met.
There you go.
Yeah, you want to start over on that? Let's start over on that.
No, you keep going. You keep going.
And I'm just actually really excited to have her on. So why don't you tell everybody about who we have on today and why she's so special?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you, something impressive. Actually, we're talking about someone who remembers encountering some big, bright light through a windshield. And unfortunately, afterward, two angels telling her that it was not your time. And that was only at the age of 7. This person sustained a L2 spinal injury, I believe, and it ended up paralyzing her from the waist down. This didn't stop anything from now a world-class athlete. We were speaking with Kaitlyn Verfuerth. Right? It's close enough? How you doing, Kaitlyn?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
We were going through that, Kaitlyn. How to say your last name? I should have brought that up.
It's okay. It's a tongue twister. It's really not. It's actually just very German. It's Verfuerth.
Wow.
And when we came to America, like in German, they have the U with I don't know what that's called, with the 2 dots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got rid of that when we came here because it's not American. So now it's Verfuerth. It used to be Verfuerth or something like that. And do you guys know what Verfuerth means?
No.
Okay. So I was playing a tournament in Austria, and I was checking in to get on the court. And the umpire comes up and she goes, "I'm chairing your match, and I wanted to check your last name." And I go, "Okay." And so she goes, "How do I say it?" And I said, "Verfuerth." And she starts laughing. And I'm like, "What?" And she says, "Say it again." I said, "Verfuerth." And I go, "Why are you laughing? What's so funny?" And she goes, "Do you know what your name means in German?" And I said, "No." It means to seduce in a really cute way. So they were laughing at me the whole time. Every time they said my name, they were like chuckling inside. So I don't know if that's the truth, but I have checked it with some other sources, and that is the truth.
Right?
So, and it's
I have a German last name too, and I had some German exchange student have to tell me. Now it wasn't as cool as that, but it was some kind of because it's Bahrenburg, but it's got the H and the U, and I guess we dropped the umlauts at some point too. But we had, I guess, kind of like a governor of land, some point.
Yeah,
that's about as good as a castle. So maybe there's a castle out there.
I mean, would I rather own a castle or be seductive? I don't know. I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, you can seduce someone with a castle.
I have a castle in my family. There's always a castle involved, right? I feel like
Good point.
There's always a castle. I'm going to tell you, either one is awesome. So look at that. We got a little German lineage going back, and a little bonding over that. So
now they know I'm not official, so it can't be made.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So for everybody to know, I mean, we're talking about someone that's competed in 4 of the Paralympic Games, 3 of those in tennis, which was something we got to talk about because that's amazing in itself. And in 2021, you competed in your 4th paddling of a 200-meter para canoe, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing. But we've seen athletes like Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, Michael Jordan. They've competed in multiple sports. So talk to me about what it means to you to be successful, so successful in that one, and then having to kind of make a jump to another category.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly, because
you weren't.
Going from wheelchair tennis, which is very similar. There, just for the people out there that don't know anything about wheelchair tennis and tennis are the same things. The only difference is you sit versus standing. But I hit the ball the same way. We hit with topspin. We have, slice, whatever. But the only biggest rule difference is the wheelchair players allowed 2 bounces. And so that's what kind of levels the playing field. And so really, honestly, guys, the only reason why I started playing wheelchair tennis was because when I got to high school, I wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to be like my friends. I actually really wanted that stupid Leatherman's jacket with the right. Nobody wears those anymore.
Well, we all know, of course.
So wheelchair tennis was actually the sport that got me there. So I played on my high school team. I competed against all the other schools, just like I made varsity. We weren't like the greatest team. We were kind of like the Bad News Bears, but we played, and that's where I kind of got my start in tennis. And then once I kind of graduated high school, I in that last year I made like a junior national team, and I got to travel, over to Europe and play one of our big tournaments in Switzerland. And I was like, this is really cool. And then I learned about this tour, and I was like, how do I do this? This is what I gotta do. So then I started playing like kind of professionally. I got some really big sponsors to back me, and the USTA also helped a lot with travel. And I was able to pretty much win enough prize money to be able to travel the world and play tennis. And I did that for about almost 20 years.
It's amazing.
So really, to switch to go from tennis, which is, those matches, I don't know if you guys watched any of the US Open recently, but like some matches can last 4 hours, 5 hours, where I'm going to a new sport, sprint, and that's like, you got to beat it in under a minute, right?
Right.
So,
right.
So like big flip there, and really just figuring out how to train and how to get out on the water and get in my boat by myself was kind of like a little bit of a hindrance in the beginning to be able to train, because in this sport, a lot of people relied on their coaches or their trainers to get their boat on the water. Like it's a 17-foot long boat, and it's skinny and it's narrow, and yeah, I'm a person in a wheelchair. Like, how am I going to carry that? So I rigged up this little system. I had this little cart with wheels, and I put the boat in my lap, and I would push it right down to the water, and I would do a workout, and then I'd put it back on the cart, and I'd go back up the ramp, and I'd put it back. And once I figured that out, then I was like, okay, I can do this. However, I felt like going into Tokyo, I just didn't have enough time. And by the time I got into the sport, I just, competing at that level with the top, I think I came in 7th, and I was actually just stoked not to flip. If you flip, you're disqualified. It's over.
I think it might be a lot more than disqualified.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like my absolute fear of all fears. I mean, I scuba dive. To be stuck, especially like whitewater rafting, when I see the guys in the canoes, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they flip, I'm like, that's a death sentence to me. Because you're locked in. I mean, you're in that canoe. That's
you're
insane.
In for the ride, man.
You're upside down. And how do you flip? I mean, that's just, to me, it's like one of the scariest things to think of.
You just go with the flow. You just go with the flow of the river, whatever. You don't fight it, because if you fight it, it's only going to make it worse. Yeah, it's.
But you have to be able to flip yourself over. And so what I'm saying is.
Yeah. So I didn't do. That's called slalom. I didn't do slalom.
Okay.
They won't even I don't think they'll ever let us do slalom, because
right, yeah.
you're gonna put a person in a wheelchair and then strap into the boat and then.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I was thinking. Right, that was like Jesus.
We just did flat water, 200 meters. As fast as you can.
Got it.
So
okay.
You had to break under, even to just like be up there with the top, is under a minute.
Wow.
Now, do you do any kind of like emergency training just in case you flip and have to get out of it? I'm sure.
Yeah. So in order to even do a race or compete, you had to like go in front of the judges, and you would flip yourself on purpose to show that if you did flip, you could get yourself back in the boat. But like,
right. Okay.
Always before a race, like that's always the first things that like those are my biggest worries. Am I gonna flip? I just don't want to flip.
I bet. It's like every mama turtle that just wants to make sure their kid's okay before they go out and play. Let me just see you flip over. Just flip over one time.
Yeah.
All right, you can go out.
So,
That was a great visual. That is fantastic, by the way. That's an awesome visual.
So with that, I love that. So with that, I actually retired from playing wheelchair tennis after the Paralympics in 2016, and I really wanted to give back to the sport because the sport's given me so much. It's taken me around the world, and so in right when I came back, I went and I got my teaching cert, and I taught tennis, and I still teach tennis, and
In
I
Flagstaff,
love
right?
it.
Flagstaff High
No,
School? No.
well, I did that. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we lived up there, I taught at the high school at Flag High. I taught the girls team for about 9 years, and then I moved down. We moved down here to Phoenix, and now I work for a really cool nonprofit called Ability 360. And basically, I work at the Sports and Fitness Center, and basically, we help folks that have maybe had a spinal injury, like a spinal cord injury, a stroke, a traumatic brain injury, anything kind of like that. Or maybe people that are on the spectrum or have Down syndrome or something like that. So we help folks get involved in sports and really adaptive sports. So I get the coolest job of being able to put someone in their first sports chair for the first time, to be able to show them what wheelchair basketball is, what wheelchair tennis is. And so I'm a rec therapist here at Ability, and then I also run our outdoor I do our outdoors. So I know that Nick, you've been trying to get a hold of me like for 15 days, and I was down in the Colorado River. We took about 12 folks with like varying disabilities, and a lot of volunteers. We needed a lot of help, and we did 226 miles, 86 rapids. It was an 11-day trip, and every night was a different campsite, and no cell phone, no connection. Like you are out, there's no way to get help or really anything. And we did those rapids, and we had a really good time. It was pretty awesome. But it's really cool to be able to share those experiences with others, and also be able to show people that maybe because you had an accident or this has happened to you, like your life's not over. It only can get better. And I think people just need to realize like they might have to do something a little bit differently, but I think the world's my oyster. I really don't believe there's anything I can't do except for I can't walk. So, but it's really cool to be able to show people like you can do this.
Yeah.
The
Well, we
world, your
can't
life's not
kayak,
over.
we can't play tennis, we can't do a lot of these other things. So,
Some people don't want to get out of bed. Like when you see Kaitlyn, Kaitlyn is in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal.
Are you like the turtle trying to get out of bed? Are you allowed to get out by yourself?
Believe it or not, I played a couple sports in my day. All right, I'm just saying. But no, I mean, I just think that sports do so much for so many people. It does teach you as a child and growing up. Obviously it teaches you social, right? Being on a team and all that. But I really feel it teaches you that determination, that drive. What does it take to win? What does it take to get my body prepared? Everything that it takes. I have teammates that rely on me, or by your own. Maybe you play golf and it's just on you, but you know what I'm saying. But like most of the time, you have a teammate or you have somebody that's relying on you, and it helps with you getting your mind right. And I think it helped a lot of kids keeping out of trouble, truthfully.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was a huge thing. I know that it definitely kept me out of trouble for sure, because now everybody's going to say, look, we're talking about all this different stuff and it's amazing for Kaitlyn, but how does this tie in to cannabis and hemp?
Mm-hmm.
And so we met Kaitlyn at a, a cannabis and athletics convention, and a lot of amazing people. Actually, Kevin was on our show as well, and we met Kaitlyn, and Kaitlyn was telling us a little bit about how she got into cannabis. But tell us, everybody, how did you get into cannabis? Because it was an amazing story on how you transitioned in that first initial introduction.
So, okay, you asked me the question. That's right. Well, when I said I wanted to retire, I thought I was really going to retire after 2016. I didn't know I was going to go do canoe and kayak. But when I had been taking 7 different medications, and I've been basically taking these meds since I was 7, since I had my car accident. And, I think as I got older, some other little secondary issues would pop up just due to having a spinal cord injury. And so I was like, after Rio, I went back and I told my husband, I was like, you know what? People have been talking about medical marijuana, and I think I want to get my card and just see what this does. Like, I don't know if it's gonna work. If it's not, who knows, right? So I like to give everything a shot. And so I remember I went to my first dispensary, and I got a or my friend did, because I couldn't yet, right? In Arizona, it was only medical, and she brought me this chocolate bar. And I went home, and like I only really wanted to test it at night, like right before I went to bed, and just to see if that would help me fall asleep better or whatever. And I had the best sleep of my life. I So one thing that comes along with spinal cord injuries is I lost a lot. Most people will lose I lost control of my bowel and bladder. So I have to do like a bowel program every day to go to the bathroom. I know I'm being really open, and then
No,
to,
it's people need to know like what goes on. Yeah.
and then to go pee, like I have to use a catheter. I use like a little stick, and I insert it every day. And as you get older and living with a spinal cord injury, your bladder maybe it starts to leak more. Just those muscles aren't there, so they're not working as well. And so I was starting to experience, like, I was having incontinence and leaking, and I was just getting really frustrated. And that's why I was really taking a lot of meds. So that night that I took that chocolate bar, I woke up, I never got up to go pee. I woke up dry. I woke up like with a really good sleep. And then like I kind of started doing it every single night just to see. And I noticed I didn't have to wake up to go to the bathroom. And I just like wasn't leaking anymore. And I was like, well, that's weird. So then I started working with a naturopath, and I was kind of telling her what I was doing, and she kind of explained to me just, how medical marijuana, or marijuana in general, can be really good for muscle spasms. And so I noticed too that my legs weren't spasming as much either. And but basically what I kind of figured out, or what we figured out together, was like my bladder wasn't spasming anymore, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
then like whatever dose, I don't really know. I kind of messed around with like kind of micro dosing, and then, or taking a certain amount and just kind of seeing. But it started to like trickle over into the day. So then like,
Now hold on, not to stop you for a second, but you're talking about edibles, right? You're doing
yeah,
a lot of this as edibles. Okay.
only edibles in the beginning, because I
Right.
like was new, and I was like, I don't want to smoke, and
You
my
want to
ass.
know the exact milligram or what was
Yeah,
helping you, and okay, yeah,
yeah,
go
and I
ahead.
really wanted to know like what. So then I started taking a little bit more, and then I noticed like it would start to trickle into the day, and like I could hold my my bladder longer. I could make it to the bathroom. I wasn't leaking, and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And the medications I was taking, like, four, just to stop my bladder from like leaking and spasming and like all this stuff. So like um and I was getting like really bad side effects. Like I had super bad dry mouth, and like my eyes were dry. I had an upset stomach a lot. I was just not really happy. I didn't feel good inside. And so my naturopath and I came up with a plan, and our goal was to get off the medication. So we slowly, over time, still using edibles at this point, we slowly started to like get rid of one med, and then another, and then another. And then I became more open to consuming different ways. And so, I did a lot of research before I really started to smoke. But one of the ways that I like to use is it's like a convection oven. It's like a little, I use just, the herb, and then you just put it in. And I only, cook it at 370. So I know
Yeah, it's a vape. It's a vape.
what.
It's a vape. It's okay. It's a convection oven. I'm making muffins. I've got some bread breaking in the background. I mean,
Well,
I usually air fry, but I mean, when I convection oven, that's
well, Greg would turn it up to like 500 or whatever. I don't
right.
know, but no.
Right.
Well, okay, so that's how my friend explained it to me the first time,
Yeah,
because
no, it is. It's like a little convection oven. It
okay,
is. It's
because
just it's
I
yeah, it's a
was like,
vaporizer.
I'm not smoking. Like I don't want to put this in my lungs. Like I just didn't feel comfortable. So she explained it to me like that, and that made me feel in my head like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah, no, and she's absolutely right. It's actually one of the best ways to smoke. And when you have a low temperature, it actually releases terpenes and other things at different rates. So when he's turning it up to 500, yeah, that's going to make you feel very heady,
Yeah.
and you're going to feel much more of that THC high feeling. But when you're doing it at a low temp, it kind of helps you feel more of the body high, the anti-inflammatory effects, things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people know that, and something we should really talk about more on the show. But and it tastes way better, and you don't have that carcinogen of that smoke because you're literally getting why it was called a vaporizer. The vape, the vaporizer, the little bit of the moisture that is coming
Mhm.
out of the plant as well. So that's why it's called a vaporizer. But go ahead.
No, and I didn't know any of that stuff. And like, if you use a flame, like you lose all of, I feel like you, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but
Yeah,
you lose a lot of the medicinal value of the plant.
yeah, because you're burning a lot. I mean, it's definitely worse for you because
Yeah.
you have a lot more carcinogens. But yeah, you're burning a lot of that terpene profile and all those other great things that are in the plant by starting low and slow. And that's why like dabbing is great and all. And but really, if you want to have a total body feeling, I
Hmm.
mean true body, then you want to start very, very low, and you're going to feel like there's no smoke coming on at all, like nothing. You're going to be like, I'm not blowing anything out, nothing, not getting anything, but you really are. That's true vapor. And then as you start to add that heat to it, you'll start to get those other effects. And you should do that in succession, right? So you start at
Yeah.
really low, and then as you continue to in the same session,
Yeah.
as you start to heat it up, and then you also conserve your flour as well because you're utilizing everything that it has in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we started at like 100 or
Yeah.
150 and then kind of built up there. So for me and what my body likes, because I've noticed now I've been using medical marijuana since 2016, and I use it every single night basically, and I've noticed like my inflammation's gone down. I don't like my joints don't hurt. I'm like way more clear minded. That was the other thing. As a kid, I had ADHD, and that was the other medication I was on. I was on Adderall, and I was on like a Lexapro, like some kind of antidepressant. I don't take those anymore because I found that for whatever reason, even if I did a CBD gummy or a CBG gummy, I have way more focus, and I just more dialed in than when I was taking the other medication. And like Adderall used to make me feel like I was like grinding my teeth and like I felt like I had to
Yeah,
go.
it's a
And
speed. It's
I
synthetic.
feel
It's synthetic method. That's what
yeah,
it is. So let's talk about this now. You said gummies. Now, so you came up, we
yeah,
talked, and I said you've got to try pure. Well, you were telling me all the different things, and you said even though you're doing all this stuff, and you said it was helping, it still maybe wasn't giving you exactly what you're looking for because you're still having some pain and things like that. And
mhm,
you tried Pure Leaf, right? So
yeah.
tell obviously tell us a little bit about that experience and how you felt on Pure Leaf. Obviously, Pure Leaf is our anti-inflammatory gummy that we have. But tell everybody what that made you feel like and how that was a little different.
Yeah. So I didn't start taking them until I came back from Florida because I wanted to see, and I took the chance because I was like, I really need to know what this feels like. And I took the chance and I took it like in the morning when I woke up because um, I just wanted to see like what it would be like during the day. And it wasn't a day that I was going to work. It was a Sunday, I think. And so I took it, and I think it took maybe 20 minutes to maybe 20, 25, 30 minutes for it to come into full effect. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that the colors got brighter. I noticed that my head felt clearer. All the anxiety that I was feeling kind of just melted away almost. And yet I had a very clear head. So I didn't feel like I took anything or I was, disorientated. I think that day I went and I did a workout, and it was probably the best workout I ever had. And then I only bought a few, like, so I was taking one every day, and I noticed each and every day, like, my body started to just feel better. The inflammation was going down. My low back pain wasn't bothering me anymore. My muscle spasms, they weren't happening. Just I didn't have to go to the bathroom as much either. And so I felt if I regulated this, maybe one in the morning, one in the evening, I feel like my body could be pain free for the rest of my life, which is pretty exciting. And I guess what to me was the biggest thing was because I've taken a lot of other gummies, and you still have that like in your head kind of you feel like you're a little dopey or you're a little tired, and with Purewell, I didn't feel that at all, and that was the coolest thing because I took it before work, and I was getting a lot more work done, and I just was communicating better, and I feel physically and mentally better.
I have a feeling that she's not going to have to worry about buying it anytime soon. That's what I think that just solidified that you will not be buying it for a long time because we are definitely going to be and that is so powerful, right? Because we worked so hard for that. And we try to tell people like, obviously the quality of the product, but they keep saying like, every time that someone's talking like CBD, I've taken it before, it doesn't work for me, or the gummies, and it could be THC, like because you just said you had all this stint with THC, but you really found something that worked. I mean, that took us 3 years to create. There's a lot of different things in that. It's catechin, baclin, boswellia, curcumin. It's got CBG, which you explained. It's got CBC a little bit. It's got full spectrum, and it's got a little bit of THC. But what I mean is that but under the legal amount because but all derived from hemp. But what I mean is that it's just a perfect combination, and to hear it from somebody that has been dealing with a lot. I had no idea about what the incontinence and all. I had no idea. I didn't realize. I thought you were just in severe pain. Just from. I mean, if you've been, right? Well, no, of course.
If you think about it too, like I mean, most people don't even think about that. They think you're in a wheelchair, you have pain, like physical pain, but like first of all, it's like embarrassing to like go out somewhere and then you fucking piss your pants and you're like, God, now I have to like go home and start all over again or whatever. But like it's definitely part of my life. It's part of anybody's life that has a spinal cord injury, that loses that function. And to be able to know that, hey, like this could help substantially and maybe change my life, then I mean, like I said, I've already like shared this product with a couple other people, and I've gotten a little feedback, and people have like, one gentleman told me like this really helped with his neuropathic pain, which I don't struggle from a lot, but neuropathic pain, if you don't know, it just like it's burning, it's tingling, it's in your limbs that that used to work that don't work anymore, and or it's this horrible itch that you just can never scratch and it just will never go away. And so when somebody like my friend Mike told me that, I was like, okay, that's cool. This is good because he's taking meds and he's like, I don't want to take these painkillers anymore. It's killing my stomach. It's killing my liver, my kidneys. Like everything has to work so much harder to process all that shit.
I mean, could you have said it any better? Like honestly, like we try to tell people this, and you've got to learn and understand people, get educated. It's not just, why are people using cannabis? It's not to get high all the time. There's a lot of other benefits, but the fact is that these other things that you're not taking that are not related to cannabis, like NSAIDs, Advil, Tylenol. You just heard, Kaitlyn. I mean, your body is working so much harder. The side effects that come with it. Think of an alternative, a natural alternative you could be taking that wouldn't have any of those side effects. Right. I mean, there's so many people die of NSAID-related deaths every year, which are just ulcerations of the stomach. Oh, I have a stomach ulcer. Well they say that.
So just really quick, so like we have these quad rugby guys. So quad is they have limited hands, so they play the sport. And so I know, like when I was I remember going to Paralympics and I was hanging out with them, and they were just popping like ibuprofens. I'm like, why do you guys pop so much ibuprofen? And he goes, one guy, they both go to me, well, it helps us. It doesn't make our bladder spasm. It like takes away that kind of like what I was saying about what it did for me. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And now this guy lost his kidney. Like this is 20 years ago. And this guy that told me this about, he was popping all these ibuprofens is now like down a kidney. Like Imagine if he was, you know, taking Purewell or, you know, taking a gummy. It could have been a different story.
Right. No, I mean, but this is what people need. Because I think you said it too. You don't think like, we don't, not being like, I don't really understand. Like, you can empathize with somebody, but you can't truly understand the shoes that they fill or they walk in, right? That's what they say. But the truth is I had no idea about that other part of it.
Yeah.
We don't think about these things, but everybody has their story, right? Like, there's all these different things that people are dealing with. Could be mental health, could be physical health, could be things every single day. And there's so many uses for cannabis in so many ways. So, but that is interesting. And one thing, you're talking about rugby. Kaitlyn, we were together with Pete, and she started telling us about. Well, first of all, let's go back to this really back for the tennis. Wheelchair tennis. I mean, everybody knows how hard tennis is by itself. I mean, the moving around, the endurance, everything. So, and think about it. You're in a wheelchair, right? So you have your two hands that you're using. You have a racket, right?
Always in your hand.
But I asked her, she goes, no, it's actually always in my hand. And it's, so that's amazing. Now the wheels are slanted. Yeah. So that does help a little bit, but I mean, you're still using, you're still in a wheelchair. I mean, this is not. Yeah. So Kaitlyn goes, oh, you think that's crazy? I'm going to show you crazy. There's wheelchair football. And I was like, I got to see this. And Kaitlyn, you got to explain this to the people. Can you, I mean, it's crazy.
So at where I work, Ability 360, we started a wheelchair football team, and there's a whole wheelchair football league, and they're all sponsored by the NFL team. So like our team is the Arizona Cardinals, obviously, right? There's Green Bay Packers, there's the Buccaneers. I mean, there's a bunch of them. So
that's really cool. That's cool in itself, though. That's just the fact that they support that, and I mean, that's pretty cool. That in general.
So, they're really trying to grow it. The cool thing about this year is the Super Bowl is going to be here in Arizona, so we're going to be able to do some exhibitions right here in the state, and our team will be number one. But
there we go.
These guys, I believe it's really two touch, but it's not two touch. These guys push each other down. They tackle each other like people got busted elbows, big like this.
They're jumping out of their wheelchair. She sends us a video. We're watching this video. This guy jumps out of his wheelchair to tackle a guy. Like, it is crazy. Like,
it's basically like battle bots with a human inside. It's insanity. It's just metal and crushing bones. It doesn't look fun. It's fun to watch, but it does not look like fun afterwards for sure. The Iceman, he's the best person in the building. I know that.
Right, exactly. And now she's saying rugby, and how crazy rugby is. So, and that's even because at least with football, you're holding the ball or you're throwing or catching it. Rugby, you're running, but only a certain amount. Then you have to either bounce it, kick it, like how rugby played, and then the way they play with how they stack everybody together and block. I mean, I'm just saying, this is just amazing.
It's pretty awesome. People out there, if you're listening, you need to Google wheelchair football and you need to Google wheelchair rugby. And then you also just really need to Google wheelchair tennis because it's kind of insane and it's really hard to explain. I always tell people just Google it because it's hard to explain like how it manipulates and how the chair works. And it's awesome. But to us, like us wheelchair athletes, like it's just second nature. But if you're not in a chair and you're on the outside, you're like, holy shit, like how do they do that?
Yeah, because
how do they move the chair and get there and catch the ball? And like, it's insane.
It is because we don't, again, like you said, you're not used to it. And we're not, I mean, listen, that takes a special person because there's a lot to think about. Most people get trouble getting out of a chair. I see people coming out of a restaurant. I go, wait, are they safe to get in that chair? Like just a regular chair?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then they go, exactly. So, well, obviously check out Kaitlyn, if you're going to check out anything because she's one of the best that's ever done it. So you definitely want to check her out and Google everything she does in tennis as well. And wait, and is this right? You have a yogurt stand or a yogurt? Please talk to me about this, because
Okay,
this seems
so
with the cannabis inspired this, I feel like.
I really do wish we still had our yogurt shop. So
Okay.
Greg and I, we don't have it anymore. It was in Flagstaff, but we used to have a self-serve frozen yogurt shop, and it was right next to NAU, which is Northern Arizona University. So we had a ton of college kids coming in. It's, those places where you go and you get your yogurt and you fill up with whatever, and then you weigh it.
Yeah.
There was talk kind of at the end. We were talking about like some alcohol infused yogurt, but then
Or cannabis infused, CBD infused.
That's
that would have
fun.
been the next level. Unfortunately, we got rid of the business and we got out of it. But it would have been cool to.
Well, what was the flavor of choice of you for you?
Wait, what was that?
What was your?
I said, what was
My
your flavor of
favorite
choice?
flavor. Ooh,
Oh
we
yeah.
made a really good vanilla that I just standed by 24. I just loved our vanilla. And then we had a toasted marshmallow. That was one of my favorites. But the coolest part about our shop was that our customers, like, they picked the music, they picked the flavors. If people wanted to come back in the kitchen and make a flavor, we'd invite like one guy and gal. They did a date, and they had a date at our yogurt shop, and they made their own flavor for their anniversary. It was super cool. So we loved it. I mean, whatever topping you wanted, if you asked for it, we went and got it. So we really we went far above and beyond for our customers, and it was a lot of fun. It was
You just have your hand in a lot of things. I mean, it's
I
great.
do.
And then there's, I guess you work on a nonprofit called Over the Rainbow.
Yeah,
Correct?
no, not
No,
anymore.
don't do that anymore. Okay,
No, that was
this
a
is
while
old
ago.
news. I'm
That's old
pulling
news.
up all old news. I'm pulling up all this old news. I'm so sorry.
They had
But
a
you still
butterfly
did it,
garden.
which is cool. I mean,
No,
you're, yeah,
it was super cool. We helped sponsor with the yogurt shop. We worked with them. They had a butterfly garden in Flagstaff, which was really cool. And I worked with them a little bit. All the proceeds went to kids with special needs, and so I was on their board for a little bit. And it was a fun time.
Well, this I do know that this is timeless, but you've worked with a couple, NFL legends. You were in that. Obviously, you were in cannabis and athletics conference that we saw you at, but advocates like Marvin Washington, Ricky Williams, Jake Plummer, Jim McMahon. What do you think about, because you're talking to a lot of athletes. I mean, we try to talk to people. You're obviously much more in it. What is their whole thought on cannabis and the avocation of it, and what are they saying, or what do they feel that cannabis plays a part in their lives, or how it should be in the leagues that they play in?
Well, from my talks with them, really, really, I just want to plug Athletes for Care really
Cool.
quick. They were basically the organization that helped me get a TUE, which is a therapeutic use exemption form to compete. Because obviously cannabis is illegal in your system. So if I would get drug tested, I would show up positive, and then that would be really bad. So I reached out to Athletes for Care. They were able to get me in touch with a doctor who was able to write a TUE for me, and then I submitted that to the World Anti-Doping Association and USADA. And when I got it back, I could not believe that I got approved, because not a lot of people do this, and not a lot of people know about it. But if you have a neurological disorder, you can get a TUE for medical marijuana and still compete. So
And now compete in. Now you're talking about in the Olympics. Are you talking about in the Paralympics? Are you talking about in just? Is that what you're referring to specifically, right?
yeah, I'm specifically talking about the Olympics and the Paralympics, as well as like any international competitions that I was going to. I mean, come on, people! Like, I wouldn't get in a boat and smoke a bunch of pot and then go paddle. That's really stupid. So, like, obviously, I know a lot of these athletes, like myself, are using medical cannabis to help recover, to help get over in like just recovery in between training sessions. Like, I found that if I ate a gummy in between a session, like, my body was just a little bit more relaxed, and I was able to like go to sleep. And the only time your body really is able to recover is when you're sleeping, right? So that was a big reason. And I know a lot of these players, or big NFL players and hockey players, are really fighting for this. But here's the other side of the coin that I think is a little bit hard is even myself, like I was really scared to come out and tell people that I use cannabis because I'm an athlete. I'm a Paralympic athlete. People look up to me. I'm a mentor. Like I teach kids, and I was really, really scared and afraid people are going to think I'm a pothead or they're going to get a different opinion about me. And as an athlete, like I think too, like you don't want you wouldn't you don't you're worried about your reputation. So I once actually my first post ever on Instagram or on social media was after I went to the Cannabis and Sports Conference. And that was my first time really saying like and coming out and saying that I use this. And guys, I can't believe the feedback. So many other people, so many other athletes reached out to me, like DM me personally, like, hey, how do I get a TUE? I can't believe this is allowed. Nobody told me this. Like, I've been wanting to do this for so long, but I just wanted to stay in my sport and I was going to wait till I was done. And I was like, you don't have to. Like, it's out there. You can get a TUE for your condition and you can use cannabis. And, like, there's just, I just was so taken aback that how many people actually supported it versus nobody even said anything negative.
I'm going to be honest with you. I am so glad that we brought this up, that you brought this up, because this is huge of what we were talking about. When I heard this at that convention, I was like, that is amazing. But people need to know about this. And that's so amazing that, you're talking about athletes hitting you up and everything, that they don't even know this is available. And that's why education is so important. But in fairness, how would you know? Right? Like, how would you go and research this when your mind goes, oh, this is not going to be allowed? How could I even, so I think that's what stopped people from really trying to search. And yeah, we should definitely try to help get the word out about this, because
it's that negative, it's just the stigma. We need to change the way people think. And like actually kind of leaving and rolling away from the conference, like we use some new terms like elevated, or what was this other one I can't remember we said, but like being elevated or enhancement, like enhancing. Like I feel like if we can change the language just a little bit, and then I feel like people are going to be more open to like, oh, I want to enhance my brain, I want to enhance my body, oh, I want to feel elevated. Like maybe that's better than saying I'm high or I'm a pot, right? Because that's just kind of negative.
Right. And I think it was, you speaks volumes. You said, look, I didn't want to even tell people that I use cannabis because they might judge me. And it's such an unfortunate thing when here you go saying, well, or at least the way I would look at it, because, well, screw it what they think. It's helping me with everything in my life. If they want to judge me for something that truly, like, you'd have never lived in my shoes for one moment to know what it would feel like. And if this is the only thing that helps me, and I've tried everything else, well, then screw you for judging me. And I think that, but I know you can't, but you want to. And maybe I said it for you, but but it's true. And that's kind of why I did that, because me being as loud and boisterous as I was, I probably would have said that. And I know that I shouldn't always talk like this, but come on, people, you have to look at things from all points of views. And why are we saying that it's a dirty word to begin with, when it's been around since the beginning of time, and it's helped so many people, millions, billions probably at this point. And come on, we got to get educated here, people. It's helping way too many people to even think that this is a bad word anymore.
It's a plant. I mean, people forget. We're talking about a plant here, everything you look outside, what are you going to see? Plants, right? And you want to have a giant argument on what's good and bad for you. Meanwhile, we're going to go to a giant plant, and when I say plant, they're going to take a big metal processing plant and then pump out something and go, here, this is what you should be doing. This, I'm telling you, is better for you, which is absurd.
Right. So. And you know what we were talking about, like all these different things that people use, and that's completely fine. Like no problem. No problem.
Oh, all those drug commercials. I mean, do you ever listen to like, oh, this one is going to cause, you might lose your face, and then you're going to lose your arm, and then you might die, and all these things are like very quietly she's saying it in the background, but like, oh, it's okay, my doctor prescribed it to me, I'm going to take it.
Right, because, well, we know why, right? Because sometimes they just have a lot more pull and everything, and things that really and. Yep, that's it. And both green. but different in so many ways. But no, and I say it all the time. It's just you've got to understand what you have out there at your disposal naturally, and try that. Now, it might not work for you.
Yeah.
More 9 times out of 10 probably will work help for you. But look, there is a possibility. Then go to the other steps. But the fact that so many people that come on our show go, I've tried all this, it didn't work for me, and I have this A, B, and C, side effect, or this happened, or a friend that lost his kidney, or, instead of going, well, let me try the plant first, and then if that doesn't work, I can move on. And let's not just talk about plants. I mean, we're talking about eating better, putting more natural things in your body. Could be even mushrooms, and I don't mean psychedelic mushrooms. Could be just regular mushrooms. We're working on something right now that is a mushroom complex, because this is another way to do it along with cannabis. So we're not just saying these things, but just be much more natural on what you're putting in your body, or knowing what you're putting in your body, and look how many people that it's helping. So I mean, I don't. I mean, there's really, how do we follow that? I mean, that was probably, that was amazing.
How do we follow
I don't
that?
know. I don't know. Just everybody try some Pure Well.
I mean, that's a good way to start following up. I mean, Kaitlyn, how can anybody start supporting you, and where would you like anybody to look and follow you at, and just kind of show their support?
You can support me. You guys can follow me on Instagram at kverf, KVERF. I'm on Facebook. I have a website, but I need to update it. It's KaitlynVerfuerth.com. Or also check out Ability 360. Our organization that I work for, this nonprofit, we serve a lot of really, really cool people, and I get to change a lot of people's lives every day. And we really run a lot on donations, and a lot of our programs we have a lot of big donors that help make those programs happen. So please check out ability360.org.
And what was that one, the one that supported you, that talked to you about getting your?
Also, Athletes for Care as well.
Shout out to Riley.
Yeah, any athletes out there listening that want to get competitive and want to be able to use cannabis, there's an option. You can get a TUE. So.
Do you have any competitions coming up soon? Any matches we need to tune into?
I don't. So actually, I had shoulder surgery. 6 months ago, actually, but in Tokyo, I tore my rotator cuff like 4 days before I raced.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
Yeah.
4 days before you race, all that training, and then you go in. Oh, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking.
So I'm still recovering. I'm kind of more in a coaching role now, and I don't know if I might be kind of retiring. I'm kind of. I really want to try to do some other stuff and get more into the outdoor realm, and do some more like mountain biking, and like I love kayaking and stuff like that. But actually, really awesome. You know what? After I have been motivated, actually, or maybe what's the word? I can't think of the right word right now. But as we were going down the Grand Canyon, down the Colorado River, there were these guys in their little kayaks, and the toy kayaks where they flip. And I kind of would think it'd be really cool to like be able to do a stent of the river and do it in a I have a toy boat, and I would love to. I'm thinking more like outdoor adventure, like extreme stuff is kind of what I want to do next. So.
Oh my God, that sounds awesome! Absolutely. Oh, that's right up my alley. That's for sure.
Well, at least we'll get you some of that recovery while you're taking that relief.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I like telling everybody to use Pure Well. I mean, I love that.
No, and honestly, I didn't even tell you this, but like when I was taking the Pure Well, the gummies, that really helped with my shoulder pain. I also felt like I had way more range of motion, and I wasn't like stretching it as far back, maybe just because everything was loose, but like really helped with my shoulder a lot. And I got to try some topicals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else could try that at purewell.com. That's PURWELL.com. And you can use the code Hempire for 20% off. That's HEMPIRE. So I want to thank you again, Kaitlyn. Everybody go ahead and support her on Instagram. And, follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Apple, Cannabis Radio, and anywhere else you get your podcast and listen to. Share, like, subscribe. We appreciate your time. And in between that and the next episode, get educated.